And with Kamala Harris's poll numbers going up, Phil Matier and I asked former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown if she can now expect to be targeted by the other candidates.
Because she's only 2 points back, and absolutely, she's always been a target. It was just a target that kept moving out because there were other targets. She now is maybe on the horizon alone.
Yeah, I mean, you don't spend too much time on op research on somebody who's in 4th or 5th or 6th place, which is where she's been hovering prior to the debate. So now that she's up there in sort of the 1, 2, 3 spot, she's also one of the lesser known entities. So there's definitely going to be some targeting of her because you think Bernie Sanders has pretty much been vetted, so has Joe Biden.
But
she's someone they can dig on.
Let's think of that. Let's think of the dynamics of this. You've got a Democratic field that's very crowded, okay? And you had Joe Biden, who is the front runner. And let's be honest about it. He's a white elder guy. You can go after him. Who goes after the African-American/Indian congresswoman?
Well, you don't do it openly. You do it through the podcast process. You do it through questioning whether or not her identity is what she says it is, as is the case with young Trump Jr. doing exactly that. You go through all of those things. You question her heritage in one sense of the word or another. You check on her father, who is down at Stanford.
You look at her record?
Oh, of course you look at her record, but, you know, so what?
But I think Joe Biden previewed a little bit of this in the debate when he said, hey, when I got out of school, I became a public defender. I didn't become a prosecutor. And so there are some definite things about her handling of church molestation cases. That
church molestation when she was AG, her gun records and things like that.
I love the fact that he has fallen into that vein because there's a whole new movement in this nation urging people with her talent and her skills to become prosecutors because the criminal justice system, if you want to reform it, you got to reform it from the charging standpoint, not from the defense standpoint. So Biden is doing what his hair plugs direct him to do.
So when Willie Brown said that, Phil Matier just looked at me and he goes, okay, good luck with that. So knowing that we're going to come out of that last statement, I'm not going to comment.
You know, part of the appeal of Biden has always been this notion of electability, and that is a slippery notion. Is it slipping away from Biden?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, if he's alienating certain groups, but there is still a question of, even though polls may show that, for example, Kamala Harris is very popular nationwide or in some early states, can you win in Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, those really critical states? I think that that's still a big question mark for her as well. Joe Biden might be getting lower on that issue, but it remains to be seen, you know, who else, if anyone else, is able to really take that mantle just yet. Meanwhile, critics have called the president's 4th of July celebration, quote, shameless. Phil Matier and I asked former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown what he thought about the president's performance.
He loved the idea that his fireworks extended longer than any other collection of fireworks in this nation. And believe me, I think if we go check, those tanks are probably still there, just in case.
Well, if you go back and look at some of the inaugurations, for example, Eisenhower's inauguration, there were a number of tanks and pieces of weaponry. I mean, it looks straight out of North Korea if you go back and look at the old YouTube videos of it. So not the first time you've had a president sort of showing off equipment. Weird that it would be the 4th of July. Not sure that really is exactly lining up with where that needs to be.
Do you see him bending or anything? Is he bending on the border, bending on anything?
No, Phil.
Because usually at this time, everybody says it's time for the new candidate to come out.
No. I really think it presents a problem because if he doesn't win, I'm not sure he's going to leave. I mean, how do you get him out of the White House if he decides he wants to stay?
Well, the people with the guns always win. So if the military wants him to leave the White House, he will leave the White House one way or the other.
Well, I'm not sure. So far, the military seems to frown upon a guy who didn't want to be in the military, who came up with bad feet.
Exactly. So we'll have no problem gently escorting him out the back door.
But between then and now, if there is a now, does this image of Trump, whether it's in North Korea crossing the line and going into North Korea, Iran, the tanks, like I said, he is not coming across as softer. This is the new, softer, gentler Donald Trump.
Not only that, Phil, in pursuit of re-election, I'm going to suggest to you that the Iranian problem is going to be resolved with Trump taking credit for it at some point. The problem with reference to trade with China is going to be resolved with him taking credit for it. The business of maintaining the quality of what's happening in the stock market, it's going to stay there. He intends to use all of that in an effort to hold on to his job.
But is that an effective strategy? Create a problem, fix the problem, take credit for the solution?
Well, for example, if you look at the stock market, it's not even clear how much of that, if any, is attributable to the administration. There have been studies that have shown that it really sort of functions irrespective of a presidency.
But who's ever in the chair benefits from good or bad.
That's right. But it also means if something bad happens between now and Election Day, he'll get blamed for it as well. So it's a double-edged sword, and you don't have a lot of control over it. So that's going to be it's always a big factor when it comes to election time.